The work, which was started yesterday at the Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona for Pirelli's 2026 preparations, has concluded with the support of Ferrari and McLaren, who also ran today with an SF-24 single-seater from the previous season and an MCL60, the McLaren car from the 2023 Formula One Championship, which hit the track in a low-downforce aerodynamic configuration. This setup aimed to replicate, at least in part, the grip conditions expected in 2026, when Formula One will introduce a new regulatory framework that will make cars, at least initially, slower than the current ones, especially in corners. The same three drivers from yesterday continued working today with Pirelli engineers on the development of the 2026 tires. Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton shared a Ferrari SF-24 car, while Australian Oscar Piastri was at the wheel of a McLaren MCL60. Both cars were modified to accommodate the prototype tires designed according to the new technical regulations coming into force next year, with the front tires being 25 mm narrower and the rear tires 30 mm narrower than the current ones. A total of 300 laps were completed today, 74 by the Monegasque driver, 74 by his British teammate, and 152 by the Australian. Here are the fastest lap times recorded, though they hold little real significance given the different testing programs carried out for Pirelli by the two teams. 1 minute 14.971 for Charles Leclerc, 1 minute 16.759 for Lewis Hamilton, and 1 minute 15.815 for Oscar Piastri. Pirelli Motorsport director Mario Isola stated that the session had been very useful, particularly for comparing different tire constructions for the next Formula One season, and experimenting with some compounds from the harder end of the range. The Italian manager noted that the Barcelona circuit was known to be one of the most demanding for tires due to the energy exerted and degradation, making the data gathered over the 2 intense days highly important for the future development of that tire generation. Mario Isola also mentioned that it was a very busy start to the year, with 4 test sessions taking place even before the season began, and expressed his gratitude to all the teams working with Pirelli, acknowledging how busy they were at that moment. After last week's tests at the Paul Ricard racetrack, and this one at the Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona, Pirelli's team of engineers will head further south next week for a 2-day test at the Jerez de la Frontera circuit in Andalusia on February 13th and 14th. Alpine will participate on both days, while McLaren and Mercedes will each have 1 day of testing. The final pre-season test will take place at the Soccer circuit in Bahrain on March 2nd and 3rd, with Alpine and Williams on track both days. This same venue will then host the only 3-day test where all teams will run their 2025 cars before the opening round, the Australian Grand Prix in Melbourne. Regarding Ferrari, it is also worth pointing out that today, the Italian side has officially announced the 2 reserve drivers who will support Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc during the 2025 Formula One season, alongside the Monegasque and the Brit. Guanyu Zhou and Antonio Giovinazzi will serve as Ferrari's reserve drivers. For both the Italian and the Chinese driver, it is a return, as they will officially hold the role for the Maranello team in the 2025 Formula One Championship. Born in Shanghai on May 30, 1999, Guanyu Zhou joined the Ferrari Academy in 2015 after his karting career. With the Maranello Academy, he competed in Formula 4 and Formula 3. He and Ferrari parted ways at the end of 2018 before he made his debut in Formula 2, a category in which he won 5 times and achieved 20 podiums in 3 seasons before reaching Formula 1. Guanyu Zhou was the first Chinese driver to compete in Formula 1, racing for Alfa Romeo during the 2022 and 2023 Formula 1 seasons and remaining with the team under the Kick Sauber name in 2024. He has taken part in 68 Grand Prix, scored 16 points, and twice set the fastest lap in a race. For the Chinese driver, this represents a homecoming, but there is more behind the decision. In a world where sponsors continue to play a crucial role, especially in the top tier of motorsport, certain choices are driven by factors which go far beyond racing. There is no secret that the Chinese market is growing stronger, and Guanyu Zhou's presence at Ferrari will undoubtedly open new opportunities. The former Sauber driver will have the chance to bring several Chinese sponsors with him, which will have a significant economic impact for the Maranello team. Finally, there are some important updates regarding Ferrari's plans for the launch of the SF25 car and the filming day scheduled before the official pre-season testing session. As is well known by now, all 10 teams will be required to unveil their liveries in London on February 18th. During the presentation, all official drivers and a representative from each team will be present. Yet probably none, or almost none, will unveil the new car for this highly anticipated season at the F125 event at the O2 Arena, while, as of today, it seems that not many teams will launch their actual car at dedicated events. However, we can confirm that Ferrari will. As already anticipated a few weeks ago, and as the drivers' new suits for the 2025 Formula One season now show, Ferrari will unveil the old SF-24 painted in a darker shade of red in London. The new Maranello car is returning to tones blended between the F175 and the F2008. The Scuderia's leadership has chosen continuity not only in the name, but also regarding the launch formula. Just like in 2024, the SF-25 will be revealed on the morning of February 19th via the official social media channels of the Maranello team, a car currently in the production phase of the last parts for assembling the first unit that will then be used in the Bahrain testing session later this month. The factories are expected to work 24/7 in the weeks leading up to the unveiling, as Ferrari team principal Frédéric Vasseur recently reminded. The French manager confirmed that being perfectly ready for the pre-season tests after the winter shutdown is always a challenge for all teams. At the Fiorano track, the SF-25 single-seater will likely carry out a filming day of 200 kilometers, which is about 67 laps of the Ferrari-owned circuit, on the same day as the official presentation of the car, following last year's schedule. Both drivers will take turns driving the new Ferrari, splitting the day and each doing 100 kilometers. Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc will thus return to Fiorano after the TPC tests with the SF-23 single-seater, which continued at the Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona, where they also drove the SF-24 for the Pirelli 2026 tests. In just a few days, the two Ferrari drivers will have had the opportunity to test the 2023 car, the 2024 car specially modified to accommodate next year's prototype tires, and finally debut the 2025 car. There will be several cars on track at the Bahrain International Circuit on February 25th. In fact, Red Bull and Mercedes, confirmed, will be present, and possibly other teams as well, making use of their first filming day at the circuit, where tests will take place starting the following day. The goal is to begin getting familiar with the setups, heights, and make more effective adjustments on a track with a mix of slow and fast corners, which is part of the 2025 season calendar. Many teams have given up on the classic presentation or the home filming day, while Ferrari sticks to tradition, and, after filming at Fiorano, will head to Scuderia for test days before flying to the Albert Park circuit for the first round of the 2025 Formula One Championship, the Australian Grand Prix.